As hope rises for ceasefire talks and hostage deals, pressure is mounting for both Benjamin Netanyahu and Joe Biden. Netanyahu is facing pressure from far-right allies to reject a new Gaza ceasefire, while fresh protests in Tel Aviv are challenging him to either get the hostages back from Gaza or quit. On the other hand, protests across the United States campuses have become a new headache for Biden, who's busy calling leaders to crack the truce deal. The protests are now flaring up despite suspension of some students from Columbia University. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken discussed the urgent need to reduce tensions in West Asia as he met with Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. Blinken highlighted that the utmost need of the hour is to achieve a ceasefire and that Washington will continue efforts in this regard.
Hamas has before it a proposal that is extraordinarily generous on the part of Israel. And in this moment, the only thing standing between the people of Gaza and a ceasefire is Hamas. They have to decide, and they have to decide quickly.
Blinken also underscored the need for sustaining an increase in humanitarian assistance to Gaza. Hamas delegation will return to Cairo with a response on the Gaza truce. Earlier, negotiators from Hamas met Qatari and Egyptian mediators about the phased ceasefire proposal that Israel presented over the weekend. Israel's proposal involved the release of fewer than 40 of the roughly 130 hostages believed to be still held in Gaza. In exchange, Palestinians jailed in Israel would be freed. The second phase of the truce would consist of a period of sustained calm, which is Israel's compromise response to a Hamas demand for a permanent ceasefire. Meanwhile, President Biden, on a phone call with his Egyptian counterpart Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, discussed the deal to secure the release of hostages together with an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. Biden confirmed that the United States, together with Egypt and Qatar, would work to ensure the full implementation of its terms. Amidst the negotiations, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is facing pressure on multiple fronts. Israel is voicing concern that the International Criminal Court could be preparing to issue arrest warrants for government officials on charges related to the conduct of its war against Hamas. Prosecutors from the ICC interviewed staff from Gaza's two biggest hospitals about possible crimes in the Gaza Strip. Netanyahu is also facing pressure from far-right allies to reject a new Gaza ceasefire, jeopardizing his government's stability. On the other hand, thousands of protesters rallied in Tel Aviv demanding the release of around 130 hostages still held in Gaza. Protesters scuffled with Israeli police after blocking roads in Tel Aviv, while 5 protesters were arrested. Meanwhile, in the United States, Columbia University has begun suspending pro-Palestinian activists who refused to dismantle a tent encampment on its New York City campus. This came after the Ivy League school declared a stalemate in talks seeking to end the polarizing protests. Protesters are demanding a ceasefire in the war with Hamas and the divestment of university assets and companies involved with the Israeli military and an end to U.S. military assistance to Israel. And for more on this, our correspondent Susan Tehrani gets us the latest on-ground details from Columbia and nationwide campus protests. Listen to this.
Columbia University has suspended students who refuse to leave the encampment on campus despite a deadline to vacate the area. The students who are part of a week-long pro-Palestinian protest had voted to defy the order and stay. Now, these protests have spread to other major U.S. universities, causing disruption and clashes between opposing groups. In Los Angeles, for example, protesters physically confronted each other on UCLA's campus, prompting police to intervene. Several schools have called in law enforcement to remove encampments, leading to hundreds of arrests. Now, despite this crackdown, however, it seems that student demonstrators have signaled their willingness to accept the consequences or punishment of their actions, including suspension and arrest to support their cause. The White House has declined to comment on whether President Joe Biden believes that campus demonstrators should face disciplinary action or not.
For latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.